Hey everyone, welcome back. Let us continue with our pattern 2. I hope most of them have solved it and you all already have a solution for this pattern. And those who have solved it, kudos to them. Let us try to build the logic for this. And this pattern is called as right triangle. As I've already mentioned, every pattern that we are given with is a matrix. If I just fill out the empty indexes, this forms a matrix. I'm just filling out empty spaces or indexes with a dot, and this is called as matrix. Let me just write down the indexes 3, 0, 2, 3. As we have already discussed, we will be writing a simple table for this to get the numbers. Number of tasks in that particular row, and this is represented by J. But in my code, I'm just using the same names, row and column. I'm just adding it for your references, I and J. Here in row 0, we have 1 star. Since the spaces are on the right hand side, we don't need to keep track of these things. We don't need to print it as well. But in some patterns, not only some patterns, in most of the patterns, we might need to print spaces before the stars. In that case, we need to write again a for loop for printing spaces. Let me don't confuse you. We'll concentrate on this pattern and we'll see whenever we get that particular patterns, that kind of patterns. In row 1, we have 2 stars. In row 2, we have 3 stars. In row 3, we have 4 stars. Let us write the logic here. We all know row goes from 0 to given n. By the way, input for this pattern is 4. And the logic for column is, can't I represent these numbers as I plus 1? Let us check if this holds good for every row. 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4. That's it. We got a magic number here, that is I plus 1, meaning row should run from 0 to n, column should run from 0 to I plus 1. Let us go back to IntelliJ. Yep, I'll just generalize this class name instead of creating a class for every pattern. Everything is copy paste. I'll just copy this. And this is pattern 2. Column. Row we already have 0 to n. Column 0 to I plus 1. Sorry, this should be row plus 1. Yep. I call this. Let me just comment this out. Pattern 204. My bad. I'm not sharing my screen. What I've done here is that I've just copy pasted pattern 1 and I've changed the column loop here, which will loop from 0 to row plus 1, which is I plus 1 in the notepad, which is one and the same. I'm just calling out the pattern 2 here. I'm running the program. Yep, it's printing the expected pattern. I hope so far it's clear. Let us jump back to our pattern 3. Pattern 3. And this pattern is inverse of pattern 2. By the way, pause the video Think of the pattern, think of the logic, and try to code it as well. But don't forget to come back to the video. Let us try to build the matrix here. Fill out all the spaces. All good. Indexes 0 to 3. Again, n is same here, which is 4. Same table, which represents I. And the number of stars, that is j. For row 0, we have 4 stars. For row 1, 3 stars. For row 2, 2 stars. For row 3, it's 1 star. Well, the logic, we know every time row goes from 0 to n, and the logic for column is, let us try to observe the pattern here. As we have already discussed in our previous video, for inner loop, we need to focus on the number of columns, that is number of stars or number of characters or the number of numbers. Here we are given with stars, and we have already listed out the number of stars that need to be printed inside inner loop. The only missing thing here is that we need to connect these numbers with n and I. We can use n here to come up with a logic. Can't I just write this as n minus I? Let us see if this formula holds good for every number. We know n is 4, 4 minus 0, 4, 4 minus 1, 3, 4 minus 2, 2, 4 minus 3, 1. Yep, we got the formula here, that is n minus I. We're all good now. Let us go back to IntelliJ and let us try to code it. I've switched the screen. Copy this. Everything is copy paste here. Pattern 3. Row loop will be same. The column loop will change a bit here. And this n minus row, which is I. We are good with the code. Comment the previous pattern. Let me just call the third pattern here. Pass the same input 4. I'm running the program. Yep, it's done. It's giving the expected output. I hope the things so far are clear. Let us go back to Notepad and we'll see what the next pattern lies ahead. Our pattern 4 is this pattern is the mirror pattern of pattern 2. Let us see how does that look like. The input for this pattern is again 4. As always, let us just convert this to a matrix. Fill out the spaces with dots. Yep, we are done. Let me just write down the indexes as well. 0 to 3, 0 to 3 again. As I've already mentioned in my previous patterns, if we have a space here before patterns, meaning before stars or numbers or alphabets, we need to write a separate for loop to print those spaces. And even while building a logic, we need to consider the number of spaces in that particular row. Let me just write down a simple table here. Row, which is nothing but I. As just mentioned, we need to keep track of space numbers as well. And then number of stars. You can also mention this as number of spaces. For row I, we have 3 spaces, 1 star. For row 1, 2 spaces, 2 stars. For row 2, 1 space, 3 stars. For row 3, 0 spaces and 4 stars. We are done with the table. Now, as always, we need to write a logic for number of spaces and number of stars. For row, we always know we write a for loop from 0 to n. Here we need to write a logic for number of spaces. Can you observe the pattern here? The number of spaces are getting decreased for every iteration of row. If that's the case, can I just not subtract I by n and then minus 1? Let us check if this logic holds good for every number. We have 3 here. I is 0, n is 4, 4 minus 0 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. Yes, this holds good. 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. Yes, this formula holds good for every number under number of spaces. Now we need to write a logic for number of stars as well. It's pretty straightforward. The number is getting increased for every iteration of I. And by looking at this, we can directly say that we just need to add +1 to the current I to get the number of stars for every iteration of row. It's pretty straightforward and pretty self-explanatory. The number of stars logic is I plus 1. Now we got the logic for row, number of spaces and number of stars. Let me just write down an algorithm for this. As always, first for loop for row starts from 0, goes till n, gets incremented after completing the row. As I've already mentioned, we need to write a separate for loop to print the spaces, as the spaces are prefixed before the star. Separate for loop. Let me just add a comment over here. Spaces for space equals 0, space lesser than n minus I minus 1, space plus plus. Print an empty space, and this should be printed without a new line character. We are good with number of spaces. Now we need to print the number of stars for that particular row. Stars, one more for loop. Star starts from 0, star goes till I plus 1. We've already discussed this logic. Star plus plus. Again print star without new line. We are done with printing spaces and printing stars. After printing a space and a star, if you closely observe in the pattern, after completely printing the spaces and a star, we need to print a new line character in every row. See, after printing the stars, we are printing, we need to print a new line character. We just need to add a new line character here. That's it. We are done with this pattern. Let us try to code this. Let me just go back to IntelliJ. My screen is switched. Let me just don't copy paste it. Public static void pattern 4, which takes in input n for int row equals 0, row lesser than n, sorry, row plus plus. Print spaces for int sp equals 0, sp lesser than n minus row minus 1. Again, don't get confused between the I and row. In coding, I'm just using a row, and in the notepad, I'm just using it as I. And this should not confuse you people. Inside for loop, we just need to print a space. We are done with printing spaces for that particular row. Now we need to print a stars. One more for loop for int star equals 0, star lesser than row plus 1, star plus plus. Print again without new line character star, and after printing the spaces and stars for that particular row, we just need to print a new line character. We are done with the code part of pattern 4. Call that out. My bad. Pattern 4, input 4. I'm running the program. It's because of the space. Yep, it's printing the pattern as expected. See, in coding, just a simple space matters a lot. We have just added a space here, and it's completely giving a different pattern, which we will be discussing this in our next upcoming video or in this video itself. Just remove the space. I'm running it again. I hope this pattern is now clear. If you guys want to see how each particular row is getting printed, just put a debug pointer over here and try to run the program in debugger mode. You will clearly understand it. Let us move on to our fifth pattern. Pattern 5. Again, the inverse of previous pattern. Input is 4. By the way, pause the video. Try this pattern out by yourself. You can do it, but don't forget to come back for the solution. I hope most of them can do this pattern. It's pretty straightforward. Fill out the spaces with the dots. Write the indexes. Simple table with row representing I, number of spaces, number of stars. For row 0, we have 0 spaces. Number of stars is 4. For row 1, 1 space, 3 stars. For row 2, 2 space, 2 stars. For row 3, 3 spaces, 1 star. By seeing these numbers, you've already made the logic for number of spaces. It's pretty straightforward. Let us see that. Logic, as always, row loop starts from 0, goes till n. Number of spaces, pretty straightforward. It is same as the value of I. So 0 to, this for loop should go from 0 to I. And for number of stars, we have already seen this kind of numbers where the numbers are getting decreased for every iteration of row. So what we can do is we can just subtract the value of I from n. As we have discussed in our introduction video, wherein for outer loop we need to count the number of rows in the given pattern, that we are doing it here. And for number of stars, we need to focus on the columns, as we are doing it now. We are focusing on the number of stars, which is nothing but columns, and we are trying to connect that number to the outer for loop. This is our outer for loop, right? I. And to get the logic out of it, we are just using the value of n. I hope this part is clear. Let me just write down an algorithm for this. As always, for row starts from 0, goes till n, row plus plus. Since we have a spaces prefixed before the stars, we need to have a separate for loop to print the spaces. Starts from 0, goes till I, gets incremented after printing every space. Print space, an empty space, without new line. After printing the required spaces, we need to print a star. Star starts from 0, goes till n minus I. This should be row. I'm just confused. N minus row and star plus plus. S out star. Again, this S out should be without new line. After completing the row, we just need to print a new line character and end the outer for loop. I hope all the patterns, whatever we are discussing here, are clear to you guys. Let us see how we can code this. Screen is switched. I'll just copy the pattern 4, pattern 5. Row starts from 0, goes till n. This we are good. This should be changed. Space starts from 0 and goes till I. That is row here. And star starts from 0, goes till n minus I, which is row here. And print the stars. After printing the complete row, we need to print a new line character. Comment this out. Call pattern 5 with input 4. I'll just run the program. Yep, it's giving the required output. If I just add a space here, it will give the inverse of pyramid. See how a single space is making a huge difference here. That's it. Let me rerun to get our required pattern. I hope pattern 2 to pattern 5 are now clear. That's it for this video. But before closing, I'll just give a pattern which we will be solving in our next video. That is pattern 6. Input for this pattern is again same 4. Try this out by yourself. I hope most of you will get the answer by the next video. With that hope, I'm just ending this video. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.